Now we start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtapraishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. Today we saw in this
Session.
shloka or session pure devotion versus mental speculation, the only path to real trance and liberation. Shlok number Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, pure devotional service. Shlok Kramanka 21. Yat angri adhyana samadhi dhotau.
Yat angri adhyana samadhi dhautaya. Hare Krishna.
धिया अनुपश्यन्ति तत्त्वम् आत्मनः
धियाम् अनुपश्यन्ति तत्त्वमात्मनः
वदन्ति च एतत् कवयः यथा रुचम्
वदन्ति च एतत् कवयः यथा रुचम्
सः मे मुकुन्दः भगवान् प्रसीदताम्
स मे मुकुन्दः भगवान् प्रसीदताम्
यत् अङ्घ्रि अभिध्यान समाधि धौतया
यत् अङ्घ्रि ध्यान समाधि धौतया
यत् अङ्घ्रि अभिध्यान समाधि धौतया
यत् अङ्घ्रि अभिध्यान समाधि धौतया
धिया अनुपश्यन्ति हि तत्त्वम् आत्मनः
धिया अनुपश्यन्ति तत्त्वमात्मनः
वदन्ति च एतत् कवयः यथा रुचम्
वदन्ति च एतत् कवयः यथा रुचम्
सः मे मुकुन्दः भगवान् प्रसीदताम्
स मे मुकुन्दः भगवान् प्रसीदताम्
यत् अङ्घ्रि अध्यान समाधितौ तया धिया अनुपश्यन्ति तत्त्वम् आत्मनः वदन्ति च एतत् कवयः यथा रुचम् स मे मुकुन्दः भगवान् प्रसीदताम्
यत् अङ्घ्रि अभिध्यान समाधि धौतया धियान् अनुपश्यन्ति तत्त्वमात्मनः वदन्ति च एतत् कवयः यथा रुचम् स मे मुकुन्दः भगवान् प्रसीदताम्.
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who gives liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second. Following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to them whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. The mystic yogis, after a strenuous effort to control the senses, may be situated in a trance of yoga just to have a vision of the Supersoul within everyone. But the pure devotee, simply by remembering the Lord's lotus feet at every second, at once become established in real trance, because by such realization, his mind and intelligence are completely cleansed of the disease of material enjoyment. The pure devotee thinks himself fallen into the ocean of birth and death, and incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him up. He only aspires to become a speck of transcendental dust at the lotus feet of the Lord. The pure devotee, by the grace of the Lord, absolutely loses all attraction for material enjoyment, and to keep free from contamination, he always thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord. King Kulashekar, a great devotee of the Lord, prayed, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjaratram Panjaratan Adya Eva Me Vishatu Manasa Raja Hansa प्राण प्रयाण समय कल्पवत पित्ते ही कंठ अवरोधन विदहु स्मरणम कुतः चते. My Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to stems of lotus feet of your lordship, be locked in their network. Otherwise, at time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cup, how will it be possible to think of you? There is an intimate relationship between swan and lotus stem. So, comparison is very appropriate. Without becoming a swan or Paramahamsa, one cannot enter into the network of the lotus feet of the Lord. As stated in Brahma Samhita, the mental speculators, even by dint of learned scholarship, cannot even dream of the absolute truth by speculating over it for eternity. The Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to such mental speculators, and because they cannot enter into the network stem of the lotus feet of the Lord, all mental speculators differ in conclusions, and at the end, they make a useless compromise by saying as many conclusions as many ways, according to one's own inclination, yatha rucham. But the Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. The Lord is what He is. Absolute personality of Godhead, He demands absolute surrender unto Him only. The pure devotees, however, by following ways of previous acharyas or authorities, can see Supreme Lord through transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master, Anupashyanti. The pure devotees never tries to see Lord by mental speculation, but by following in the footsteps of the acharyas. Mahajana ena gata sapantha. Therefore, there is no difference of conclusion amongst the Vaishnava acharyas regarding the Lord and devotees. Lord Chaitanya asserts that the living entity Jiva is eternally servitor of Lord and that he is simultaneously one with and different from Lord. This tattva of Lord Chaitanya is shared by all four sampradayas of Vaishnava school, all accepting eternal servitude to Lord even after salvation. And there is no authorized Vaishnava Acharya who may think of the Lord and himself as one. This humbleness of the pure devotee who is 100% engaged in his service puts the devotee of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything, because to the sincere devotees of the Lord reveals himself as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10. The Lord, being the Lord of intelligence in everyone, even in the non-devotees, favors his devotee with proper intelligence so that automatically the pure devotees is enlightened with the factual truth about the Lord and his different energies. The Lord is revealed not by one's speculative power or by one's verbal jugglery over the absolute truth. Rather, he reveals himself to a devotee when he is fully satisfied by the devotee's service attitude. Shukdev Goswami is not a mental speculator or compromiser of the theory of as many ways as many conclusions. Rather, he prays to the Lord only, invoking his transcendental pleasure. That is the way of knowing the Lord. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Nama Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantika Vandeham Sri Guroho Sri Yuttapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavancha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitancha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Ashtata Deshatarine वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा टुडे वी continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 4, The Process of Creation, Slok Kramanka 21. In this shloka, they describe about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who gives, means Krishna. Krishna gives us liberation by thinking of his lotus feet at every second and following the footsteps of the authorities. Mahajana Enagatena Sapanta. When we try to uh, that applying in our life and learn mental speculation, however, think of himself according to their whim. May the Lord please with. Here they doing the Mangalacharan, giving obeisance, and again they describe about the mystic yogi. Uh, uh, so many efforts, strenuous effort, they try to control the senses, but uh, in trance, though they want to see the super soul within eyes, uh, but pure devotee is not require this. Devotee always engage himself in doing the service of the Lord, and so he always live with Lord live with him also. Kulshekar Prarthana prayers is given in these shlokas, and so many times, so many points they are discussing. Prabhuji will tell us nicely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The path of a pure devotee is superior to that of yogic mystics or mental speculators, though everyone is trying to realize the absolute truth. Mystic yogis, they undertake strenuous efforts to control senses so that just they can have some brief vision of Supersoul. While a pure devotee achieves constant state of trance, simply remembering the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. This constant remembrance cleanses the devotee's mind and intelligence from the desire for material enjoyment. This exactly is what is being tried to be explained to us by Sri Shukdev Goswami ji to Parikshit Maharaj and Sri Prabhupada, explaining everything, whatever is happening there. So, Krishna is the only one who can give liberation, no one else. Advitya. So, what is required is we have to think of his lotus feet at every moment. We have to that is, follow the footsteps of the authorities. And we have to be in deep trance. Then we can also see the absolute truth. So that Lord Krishna is one who should be pleased with us, is what Shukdev Goswami ji is saying. So few facts become very clear from this shloka. First and foremost, it's pure devotion which leads to real trance, not yogic postures. Mystic yogis struggle to control the senses. Pure devotee simply remembers the lotus feet of Krishna every moment. And this remembrance purifies the mind, the intelligence of all material contaminations. And the result? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The result is that we achieve the desired success, which is Krishna Prem. So, what is the mode of a devotee? A true devotee considers himself fallen in the ocean of repeated birth and birth. And so, he only prays to become a speck of dust at the Lord's lotus feet. Only aspiration is constant remembrance and service, not liberation or sense gratification. Trinadapi suniche, tarorapi sahishnu, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadari. That is the mood of a devotee. Humility and surrender. A pure devotee feels fallen and so constantly prays to Krishna for deliverance from the cycle of birth and death. The highest aspiration is somehow to allow the Bhakti Lata beach to grow to such an extent that it will go and touch the lotus feet of Krishna. And it is through Lord's grace that the devotees lose all attraction to material pleasures and thinks of the Lord's feet to avoid contamination at any point of time. And to explain this, Prabhupada cites the example of King Kulashekara. Kulashekara, in his prayers to Krishna, quotes where he asks the swan of his mind to take shelter at the lotus feet immediately, fearing he won't be able to remember the Lord at death due to bodily discomfort. Now, swan, this metaphor is important. It is indirectly trying to highlight to us the Paramahansa's focus on transcendence. Paramahansas, the pure devotees of the Lord, who have only one focus, and that focus is Krish, 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 Krishna Re. So similarly, as Raja Kulshekara is saying, the swan of the mind, please, please, please go and be at the lotus feet of Krishna. Now, it is a fact which is very, very naturally known to almost all of us. To knowledge, to personal observation, or through information, that death is not easy. It is painful. Scriptures say that there are thousands of scorpions biting at the same time. That kind of a pain is something which a living entity has to suffer when he leaves the body. So it is but obvious that it is possible that at that bodily discomfort level we may not remember Krishna and will be put into this cycle of birth, old age, death again and again. Because Krishna says the only way to come out of this cycle is antakale chamame vasmaran muktva kale. That at that end, that point of time, we have to remember Krishna and no one else. And that is why this prayer. And we are able to be successful in life or understand all these things only when we follow the authorities. A devotee should never try to attempt to see Lord through intellectual efforts. We simply have to follow the footsteps of the great acharyas, the previous great teachers, and see the Lord through the guidance of a genuine spiritual master. And when we are adhering to this disciplic succession, it ensures a unified conclusion about the nature of Lord and the devotee. We get the divine revelation. The Lord cannot be understood by speculation or intellectualism. He reveals himself to the sincere devotee, satisfied by their humble service attitude. Swayameva Smurtevada. We have to develop that humility, that surrenderance, and that purification. After which, once the tongue is trained to only have Krishna Katha or only eat Krishna Prasadam, then only that purification level will ensure that Krishna reveals himself. If we look only at mental speculation, then failure is guaranteed. Speculators, they may be scholars, they may do lots of efforts, but despite that, they can never realize the absolute. Krishna reserves the right not to be exposed to them. Krishna remains hidden from those who try to know him through intellect and not surrender. Prabhupada gives a very wonderful example of a shopkeeper. When a customer comes, the shopkeeper has to do everything that the customer is expecting. Krishna is not a shopkeeper to cater to every customer's whims. He is the absolute personality of Godhead who demands complete surrender. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. The Lord is not obliged to reveal himself like a shopkeeper serving all customers. And that is where the role of a guru and parampara comes into picture. If you have to realize Krishna, if you have to see Krishna, that is possible only through the transparent medium of a bona fide spiritual master. Your devotees follow the authorized disciplic succession and the instructions of Mahajana. Hence, there is no contradiction among bona fide Vaishnava acharyas about the truth of the Lord and the soul. Look at Abhacharnavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He followed the instructions of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He went ahead with book distribution, preaching in English, preaching in the Western countries. And see the magic which has been created, the success which he could get simply following the instructions of his Guru Maharaj. A couple of days ago, we saw the examples from the Upanishads about Satyaka, who followed the instructions of his Guru, went to the jungle with cows and hay and reared them as ordered till the count reached 1,000. And the result? A bull came. He reminded him that he has to go back after 1,000 cows and gave him the first instructions of Brahma Vidya. And then on the way, he met Hansa, he met others, each one of them giving him the secret of Brahma Vidya. So, following the footsteps of Acharya, following the instructions of Acharya is very, very important. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has been very, very merciful to us. His philosophy is very practical. He teaches that the soul, Jiva, is eternally the servant of the Lord and simultaneously one with and different from him. Achintya Bheda Bhedat. And this philosophy is accepted by all the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. The Rudra Sampradaya, the Kumar Sampradaya, the Sri Sampradaya, and the Brahma Sampradaya. So, revelation of the Lord, as mentioned by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, not everyone can get the revelation of Krishna. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena maam upayanti te. Krishna says, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So, this is important. What Krishna is looking for is constant devotion to serve Krishna with love. So, loving service with devotion and constantly. If a devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on path of realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activities of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain to it. So, knowledge of the Absolute is not achieved by speculation, but by the Lord's mercy himself. And that is why we have to be very, very careful. And Prabhupada gives the warning against modern speculations. Current debates like gender roles in guru positions, they arise due to speculative mentality. These are not scripturally debatable issues. Only when one speculates, the controversies arise. So what is important is to give up all kinds of speculations and completely surrender to Krishna. And that is where the importance of the temple lies. Temple is described as an oasis from material sense gratification, offering true happiness in the service of Radha and Krishna. Devotees pray only to avoid falling into the trap of enjoying separate from Krishna. That is why we simply have to accept this absolute truth as revealed to us through the Guru Parampara. Ensure that we are always in association. Ensure that we keep on reading the scriptures. Ensure that we complete the minimum 16 rounds of chanting. Ensure we take only Krishna Prasadam and nothing else. And ensure that we engage in some service to Guru, to devotees, and to Krishna to be eligible for purification. Thank you.